This episode of MotoringBox is proudly supported by Century Batteries. Welcome back to MotoringBox. I'm Sean McKellar and you might recognise my Mitsubishi Magna Ralliart. As you saw last time, we got it back from the painters, and even though it's extremely dirty, I have to say it's looking pretty good. So we're continuing on with this today. The goal for today is really to clean it, but in order to clean it, we need to get it waterproof, and at the moment, it's far from it. That has actually caused a really big issue when it came to the first guy who painted this car, or tried to paint it, I should say. This car actually ended up sitting out the front of his workshop 4 weeks on end through the rainy season, which was like May last year. When you've taken like the weather strips and the rubber seals and everything out, there's actually a really big gap. When you have a look in here, all of the hard work which I put into it in the months before I dropped it off to the first guy, it's all been undone. Everything is just absolutely shagged. See that? It's really just dust, so hopefully it won't be too hard to clean. But it does mean what I'm going to do is actually strip out the seats again. The carpet is a bit damp and sort of musty smelling. Floor mats are out as well. They were brand new, but now they're looking very much the opposite of that. Everywhere you look, there's just, dust everywhere. So it's really not cool. But yeah, for now, let's get these seals in and we'll get the show on the road. With every new part that goes onto this Magna, it's looking absolutely fantastic, but you'll notice the headlights are coming back out again because I wasn't really particularly happy with this headlight. It still looks a bit cloudy and I reckon it needs to be sanded and have some clear coat put onto it. So I told Harley from H&H what I was up to and he said, "Hey mate, send the lights down to me, I'll do it." He's still finishing off the rear spoiler and the wheel arch flares for me. So yeah, I'll send the lights down to him, he'll finish them too. Awesome. So around the side here, I've got the door handles in for the back. I need to adjust some of these windows here. This window seal is in, but the windows aren't tucking in properly. So I'm not really sure why that's happened, but there are ways inside the door you can adjust them. So that's another item on my list. But for now, I want to get the side skirts back on. seems a bit like deja vu, doesn't it? Well, trust me though, it's all for a good cause because this thing was extremely dirty. The carpets, the seats, the dash, the rear parcel shelf. Don't even get me started on that. It's even got glass because old mate shattered the rear window trying to get the wing off originally, and it was all hiding behind the C-pillar plastics. So I pulled them off, glass just rained out from everywhere. So trust me, it's worth what I'm doing here. So the parcel shelf's gonna go back in first. That's all nice and clean. It's been pressure washed. So is the carpet. They're both dry, ready to go. So they'll go in tonight. So will the seats. Let's get it all in. I can't wait. So we're making excellent progress here. The carpet's in, the parcel shelf's in as well. Now it's time for the seats. This driver's seat, I've actually broken out my stitching skills that I learnt roughly in high school, I think it was. Needle and thread, and I've tried to stitch up all of the holes which are on this driver's side of the driver's seat, if that makes sense. It looks a little bit like a soldier who's been wounded in the field by a shotgun or something, and he's tried to stitch himself up with whatever he could find. It's not pretty. But let me tell you a secret as to why I didn't bother. It's a secret that many Ralliart owners don't want you to know about as well, and that is these seats are pieces of shit. Okay, that's probably a little bit harsh, but they're certainly nothing special, that's for sure. This car, when it was announced or when they did the prototype, it had Recaro seats and they were really amazing looking things. What we got in the end though were actually VRX seats, which I think they may have altered the bolstering on and put the separate fabric here on there for the Ralliart, but that was about it. They're certainly not amazing seats. And I think when you compare them to what Holden and Ford were doing around the same time, AU Falcon, BA Falcon, VX, VY Commodore, those seats, especially 20 plus years later, are aging a lot better than what these are here too. The foam is all sort of disintegrating. The fabrics are not hard wearing. The colors, especially on the red here, are fading as well. So what I actually want to do is this repair is just to tide me over for 6 months or so, because I want to get a set of Recaros similar to what the prototype had. Try and get some fabric. If I cannot find this fabric brand new or, new old stock, something similar, get them retrimmed to suit, slap them in, because these, they do the job, but certainly they're not worth recovering or fixing, in my opinion. So anyway, they've been gurneyed, they're nice and clean. Let's slap them in. Got a whole lot of stuff back here from H&H Paint and Panel. I've had the bumper for a while, but I haven't been able to put that on because I've been waiting on the headlights. I've got them back as well. They are looking absolutely fantastic. So the headlights are already in. We've got the bumper, I've got the grille ready to go. Got the mirrors painted too. With the rear wing, H&H weren't actually happy with how it turned out the first time because they painted it all together as one piece. Whereas you can actually disassemble the wing, take this top part out, which is what they did the second time, painted everything properly, put it back together. So the wing's looking fantastic. We've got our flares there ready to go too. And also, we've got a few other parts, which I'll actually show you right now. Some of these are pretty cool. All right, so here's a few extra things I've picked up. The first are actually a set of rally flaps, I think they're called. Now, I'm not entirely sure if I'm gonna use these, and if I do use them, I'm probably gonna cut them down because this car has a big issue when it comes to like road grime and rocks and things like that. Coming off the front wheels especially and hitting the front part of the side skirt, chipping the paint, and it just looks terrible. So I thought we need some mud flaps of some sort. why don't I buy a set of these? And what I might be able to do is sort of cut these down quite small so they just kind of protect the front of that side skirt. But yeah, no promises, no guarantees if I'm going to use them or not. But they were available, so I grabbed some of those. I had some spare budget on Amazon as well. I had a gift card. And I've seen a few people running these little Ralliart badges on their front grills. It's not convinced 100%. If anything, the badge is kind of coming apart a bit, so that, I'll probably just get rid of that. Actually, scratch that. All right, let's not worry about that one. Next up, with the mirrors. So these have been repainted. I want to refinish the plastic sort of trim around here, but also this mirror, you probably can't see, but it's very scratched up. So what I've done is I've bought some brand new mirror glass. So hopefully it'll be pretty easy to swap that out as well. So that is kind of cool. I've also got a new old stock antenna. Now I don't listen to radio, but this thing, especially the little sort of shroud here, the grommet and the top of the antenna on my old one was cracked, perished, it looked terrible. So at the very least, we'll have a brand new antenna. This all looks mint because it's brand new to match the brand new paint. I've found a new brake light for the spoiler. If you remember, some of the LEDs on my current one aren't actually working. That's probably standard for every Magna or Falcon or Commodore of this era. It just screws in nice and easy. With the flares, these have obviously been refinished too, but on this stock standard car, when I pulled these off, it actually had a bit of rubber trim that ran around the whole top of the flare. So I've also sourced some brand new trim or weather seal or whatever you want to call it. It's a rubber strip. They call this thing T-seal because it's pretty much a T shape. And I'll put a close up on screen here of how it attaches. It's got some double-sided tape. And it just means that it sort of protects that edge of the flare where it then sort of snugs right up to the side of the car. So I'm going to be applying that to all 4 of my flares. I've got 2 packs of 4 meters each, so 8 meters total. Plenty. A 4 meter pack is more than enough to do all 4 flares. But yeah, I got some extra in case I stuff it up, which I inevitably will. And also, I've got 2 more things here. You'll remember my Ralliart badge from the boot was shot. This thing should have had like a clear plastic top. It's long gone, the paint's all flaking off, it's trash. But luckily, from an owner's group, a gentleman by the name of Kim actually got a limited run of reproduction badges. And from what I've seen, these things are pretty much a mint, like 100% copy of what the stock standard boot badge should have looked like. So that is awesome. I can't wait to stick that on the car. It's gonna wait till obviously after it's been polished, but yeah, that's going to be probably the final touch. You have to wait for that one. You're not gonna see that one straight away. And also, speaking of finishing touches, my standard plates, you know, I'm not a fan. Who is a fan of these? So I went on to Personalised Plates Queensland and I could not find any good combinations at all. I've got MotoringBox on my other one. It's a $495 plate. If you want more letters than sort of 3 letters, 3 numbers, you have to pay about $2,000. I don't want to pay that much. So I found a combination. It's just sort of 0 MBX 0. It is what it is. I think it's going to look pretty good. At the very least, it's sort of red and black. It's going to match the paint really well. So that is about it. We're going to start with the flares because I want to get this trim put on. When you put this rubber on, it threatens to peel off almost immediately. So you pretty much have to stick it on the flare, then stick the flare on the car like straight away. If you let it sit, they start coming off again. So let's start with that right now. So yeah, this trim is starting to try and peel away from the end here a little bit. But if we just get it in place and then put it on the car as soon as we can, I think it's going to be perfect. It certainly looks the business, that's for sure. These little brackets, I'm probably going to come back and touch them up because they probably do need to be painted black, otherwise they stand out. Need to throw a screw in there to finish that one off, but otherwise that one is installed. And I have to say that trim, I think it's a bit thicker than the stock standard part, but I have to say it's looking pretty good. Fits up beautifully. Awesome. All right. Yeah, it doesn't stick on the best, but it just needs to hold it there for literally a minute until we get this thing stuck on. It's almost impossible to remember where these brackets went, but I seem to be missing one up here. So what I'm going to do is make an executive decision in that There was a bracket here, which I don't think is needed because it's fixed here with 2 screws anyway. I'm gonna move this one over here and see if that fits. Otherwise, there's just nothing holding this end of the flare on. And you know what, that seems to fit perfectly. So maybe that's where it went all along. We'll work it out. The thing that I've worked out about these flares is that if you don't have these brackets on the right way, it doesn't actually sit properly on the car. This first bracket feels good, the second one feels good, third one feels good, and it lines up with the guard. So that one is a winner. As it turns out, these flares are not much fun. I have a feeling I have missing components, especially the front ones. The rear ones are actually quite easy. Yeah, the front ones are a huge pain. That looks good. Here we go. Trim looks good. And clip. And screw. Yes, that looks good. That'll clean up beautifully. Flares are done. Okay, it's time for the front bumper. Now this thing's looking really good. One thing that wasn't looking good though was the mesh, which sits down here in these 2 little air dam openings. The existing one, it's very damaged. It's all frayed. It's seen better days. So I'm chucking that. And I've actually installed some new mesh, which I found off eBay. I think the pattern suits. It's metal, it's quite strong, even though it is bendy. Once you put it into place, and fix it on there, it is actually quite strong. It's actually helping to support the openings of the air dam there, which do kind of sag with age and heat, I guess. So you can sort of push them back into shape, put the screw in, and then the mesh is actually holding them there roughly where they need to be. So I'm actually gonna leave this video here, guys. I need to get something out. It's been a few weeks since you've had an update on this car. I'm gonna slap the bumper on, but then you're gonna have to tune in next time to hopefully see the car hit the road. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate your support, your views, your likes, your subscriptions. Take care, and I'll see you soon.